feel like men feed off of each other.
Sure.
I want to talk about the Gillette commercial. Are you guys familiar?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so this is Gillette razors. They released a commercial, and it is really geared towards the Me Too movement, and female power and changing how we view masculinity. And this has been one that's caused a lot of conversation. I would love to hear your responses to this. What was your take when you first saw the commercial?
Well, firstly, I mean, it really addresses toxic masculinity, which is toxic. You know what I mean? It's a man's world, and let's bully this person or let's treat women like this. And I love that it addressed toxic masculinity. My issue, though, because Me Too was such a strong and powerful and positive movement for females, is that I just feel like as a mother raising sons, I'm a little bit frustrated. I will say that, and I did say this in one of my social media posts. I'm like, you know what? I pray for my boys because I feel like the expectations are so low. Like, let's talk about the positivity of men and what they can become and who they are. Many of them who are good today. But I did love the commercial. I think that it raises up great topics.
I think so too. I love the commercial, but I would not say that it could give me any connect towards Me Too movement. It was talking more about men and not about how we can equally treat the children, be it a girl or a boy, giving them the same power, giving them the same courage while raising them, rather than just talking about, stereotyping boys are like this or they are like bully. We have girl bully too, so we have to have everything straight. So
yes, we do,
that was one of my things with the commercial. I mean, I love the commercial, but I did not see it touch the topic of the Me Too, as they say that it touched the topic of Me Too. I don't
It didn't
feel that
resonate
way.
with you that way at all?
Yes, no.
Got it.
Okay, so for me, I had to watch the video a few times.
Yes.
At first, I kind of just glanced at it, and then when I got home, I'm like, let me really look at this video. And, it brought up a lot of moments or past memories, that I had. And I wish more men were supportive in that kind of way, like, hey, you shouldn't do that. Or if a guy was checking out another girl, hey, she's not like that. That's not appropriate. I just wish men would stand up for one another and teach, because I feel like men feed off of each other.
Sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes they say things just to fit in.
As do girls, right?
Same thing, yeah.
So I just feel like maybe, we can make a change starting with one person. I just feel like, all it takes is one in a group of circle. Hey, that's not cool. Don't do that. That's not appropriate. And I did realize, I have to be the one to do that with my boys, my younger boys. I have to be the one to say, hey, that's not okay. Hey, that's not how you treat a woman. But I did see where they didn't really, they focus more on men, but I also see where women can come in because they have the same behaviors. So I just feel like as a whole, our community as a whole should be supporting one another and treating each other equally. And I wish, I wish it was more saying, something more on
Positivity.
Yes.
I struggled with
It was
that.
more on treating how we should raise men or boys rather than treating everybody equally. We are fighting for equality for everybody over here. So it's not about that, not about masculinity
I know.
or not.
Let's do one on toxic motherhood. Woman, mothers judging other mothers.
Yes. Let's bring it up to the point, though, that this is a men's product.
Yes.
Because while this is a campaign with a very clear message and a controversial message, nonetheless. I mean, people are talking about it, and I think they're going to continue to talk about it for a long time. But this is a men's product. This is a commercial. There's a marketing reason behind it. So the fact that it really does focus on masculinity is for obvious reasons, and that's a slogan, which is, the best a man can be. They're addressing masculinity because it's a men's product.
And there's other ways to address masculinity.
Yes, there are, but the fact that they did it in a manner, at least to myself, that addresses a very hot topic right now, I thought was very bold. And
it was.
And I honestly appreciated it because there was many different decisions they could have done as a product and as a marketing company to push their product. They could have ignored it. They could have done something even more controversial, or they could have landed where they did. A lot of people are also talking about the fact, Nike with Colin Kaepernick, they use it as a way to make more money. I say, duh.
Yeah.
It's like, of course they did.
Yeah.
But they did something that actually had purpose behind it.
They did.
And for that, I do appreciate it.
And I also think they actually solved their purpose, because their purpose was also to Gillette to reach every household.
Yeah.
Now everybody is talking about Gillette.
Exactly.
Right?
We're talking about Gillette.
Yeah, that's what advertising
Don't they
is.
sell women's razors?
They do.
They do.
They do, but the slogan though
I
is
know.
specifically
I'm just
towards men. But I'm glad you mentioned that, because there has also been conversation as well about this, that some women feel that there is actually a sex tax, that women's razors cost more from Gillette than the men's razors do. I cannot say this is fact. I've not looked into it myself. It's not been verified at all by ABC 10, but it is just some of the conversation that's been happening around this. And if that is true, wouldn't that be interesting? Because wouldn't that be a better way to show equality?
It is true.
Yeah. Is
because our stuff is more designed prettier, the package is different,
package is
it costs
different.
more.
Yes.
Yeah.
How would you guys feel if the commercial, if instead of men, it was all women?
I would
How
love
would you
it.
guys feel? Would you feel the same way as you're feeling right now? Would you have the same view? Take out all the men in it and have it all women.
I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
I mean, we are used to watching all the models,
Although I
right?
will say, because like I started this conversation where I'm kind of over everyone just bringing down boys, bringing down men.
I was going to ask that.
But if a commercial came out of the same thing, toxic feminism or whatever, and this is like the third movement on this topic, I would be over it. Be like, you know what? I don't care.
Do you think any men were offended?
Huh?
Do you think
I'm
any
glad
men
you
were
asked,
offended?
because when I saw that, I instantly started talking to men, because I'm like, okay, well, I know how I feel as a woman, and I know how my women friends are feeling, especially those that are mothers to sons, because I am not. I have 2 girls, and I know as a mom to 2 girls, I appreciated the message greatly. I really, really did. But I wanted to know what dads thought, and I will tell you, I'm not kidding. I spoke to over probably about 15 dads.
Oh, nice.
Every single one of them had an agreement. And I'm not just saying this for the sake of this conversation, but they agreed that they actually appreciated the message, because they felt that there was a pressure on them growing up. That
my
they had
husband
to
did the
be
same thing. I had the conversation with my husband, and he said that I think it's a great message.
It
Yes,
is a
it's
great message, though.
Yeah,
I mean, who will say bullying is right? Who will say,
exactly?
you know,
teasing a woman is
I'm
right.
not speaking on behalf of all men, by no means at all. I'm just sharing what I was told. That they felt that there was this universal theme amongst them, that they felt that there was this unneeded pressure for a definition of what a guy was, that guys had to be rough and tumble, that they had to catcall, and that when they didn't do those things in their social groups or with their friends, they felt pressure, and they felt less of a guy because of those terrible, those toxic stereotypes.
So we had this thing in our house watching this commercial. I have a 13-year-old. So my husband and I, we were talking about the commercial, and then we had a 13-year-old sit with us to watch the commercial. So the part where the man runs with a boy to have those bullies go around, they talked about it, because my 13-year-old is a very introvert child. So he would just be himself and not bother. So he was like, now in this kind of world, you need to stand up if you see something is wrong.
Yes.
You cannot just be there. So I could see that was one positive message in my house.
Moment.
Like, oh, my husband could do that too. So, every time mommy's the one who's teaching. So your husband teaches.
I also wanted to say something else on the flip side of all this. Maybe some men might have seen the commercial and feel like it stereotyped of men as a whole, and
the
they
problem.
are not
that's
like
where
that.
I get
So
it.
that's
Yeah.
I also wanted to bring that out too, because since Noah mentioned that, just speaking on behalf of men, maybe some of them felt like, hey, I'm not like that.
Yeah.
This is not how we all are. You shouldn't.
And I definitely feel that because of the latest movements and how much discussion we've had on how poorly men are towards women, and et cetera, I was kind of just over it. I'm like, you know what? There are some good men out there. I'm raising a good men right now, and so I appreciate the message, but I'm a little bit overwhelmed by it all.
Yeah,
that's all.
And you know what?
agree
And
with
instead of us sitting here speaking on behalf of men, there actually is there's a dad sitting right behind the camera over here. Will you invite your husband to join the conversation?
David, my husband is
comfortable?
here.
Come on down, David. So I imagine you watched the Gillette commercial with your wife.
Yeah.
Not with me.
No, okay, you guys were together, but you've seen it.
Seen it.
Okay,
We've
you've both
both seen it.
Okay, what's your take as a dad and as a man?
I think it's one of those things that if the shoe fits, wear it. So if you're offended by it, you really need to take a step back and figure out why you're offended by it. When we talk about toxic masculinity, I think we're dealing with an issue that starts with our kids. It's how we raise them, how they're taught to be vulnerable, communicative, expressive. And in the past, we see a lot of families, cultures that raise their kids with a lack of that. And then we have children that turn into 30-year-old boys that
True.
Instead of men,
Exactly.
boys, yes.
that don't understand empathy, another person's feelings, and how their actions really cascade on another person. And it's up to both parents, but more fathers, I think, to teach boys how to be men.
Yes.
And when we lack that, as a father, I had one of my sons, older, and I overheard a conversation with his friend and girls. They're on the phone, speaker phones, and I was very disturbed by what I heard. And I had to take a step back, and I'm like, oh my God, what would my father do?
Yeah.
Like he would have kicked in the door and probably tossed me through a window. And I had to take a step back and like pause. And then I entered in the situation, and I sat them down and said, I'm raising men of substance. And what you're doing, that conversation that you're having is disgusting and uncalled for. And what you don't understand is, as a man, you have a lot of power to hurt or harm or help women. And
I like that.
what you're
Let's
doing.
make that into a slogan.
And I said, what I've
should have had
heard,
him in
what
the
you were
commercial.
doing, sending selfies and stuff, you could have destroyed that girl. And if that's the type of woman that you're messing around with, hold yourself to a higher standard, and hold whoever you're going to be with in life to a higher standard, because unfortunately girls in middle school and grade school, let's be real, there's a difference. Men have more more testosterone. Women are more empath. They have more feelings, they're more expressive, and we're trying to get men into that, teaching them and saying it's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to get angry, get mad, but express it. Express it before it turns into a horrible coping mechanism that now you're a 30-year-old boy and you don't know how to talk to women, and you're shocked about why they don't want to date you, be around you.
Because that's how we raise boys, right? Oh, you are tough, you cannot cry, and that's what happens when they reach 30. They do not know how to cope with their emotions.
So in other words, you feel like it all starts within parenting.
Yes.
Oh, it always does.
I really think that it's good that parents can address it to their kids at home and teach them how to be, and then the school can reinforce that behavior.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. There seems to be a lot more of a movement towards empathy.
Yes.
And thank you, by the way, for joining the conversation
Yes.
with the women and sharing your point. From what I'm gathering here in our conversation, it really boils down to how people should be treating people.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It comes down to more of
Whether it's women
equality
or-
across,
Yes.
but an immense place to start really is.
I do have a question
at
for
home
you.
parenting, yeah.
Do a lot of men feel that maybe the women might enjoy it because sometimes they may say something inappropriate to women and the woman might giggle and then they're just like laughing with their buddies? Do you think that they feel like, oh, she likes it and I want to continue on, but then later she
But like it's playful.
Yeah.
They're just being playful.
Yes.
I think there's a level of playfulness and innuendo.
And how do you define that line too? Can you explain that?
Yeah.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
In
No pressure.
in my experience in life, being 41, that when you're younger, you do exactly what my son was doing. You don't understand, so your sexual innuendos are very blunt because you're
not socially aware.
Yeah, you're not socially aware of the
consequences of anything.
Yeah, consequences, what you're saying
then
really
women,
means. Yeah.
on the other hand, I shouldn't say women, young girls, they're in the same boat. So they don't know.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, he's giving me attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now they're developing the wrong, like the message, or pardon me, the sender and receiver. We always talk about communication, the sender and receiver.
Yeah.
He's learning to send wrong messages. She's learning to receive wrong messages. And then they grow up sending and receiving that level of wrong messages until hopefully they meet a person that says, hey, stop. I'm not that type of person. That's disrespectful. And you can communicate with me differently. And either they reject it because they're so shocked because it's like cognitive dissonance. It's just so new to them. Or they step back, hopefully, and say, oh, wow, you're right. I shouldn't be talking to you like that.
Yeah.
Or I should have a level of respect.
Which
for
is
you.
maybe what the Gillette commercial is reinforcing by having other men be that guidance to say, hey, you shouldn't talk to her
Perhaps
like that.
you just hit the nail on the head there, Ash. That just might be maybe what the whole point of
Well, raising community
Yes.
standards.
Yep. Raising community standards,
yeah.
respect and treating everybody
Yeah.
that way. Yes. I want to thank all of you for being here, moms, dad, for weighing in. I mentioned it at the top of the conversation. There are no right answers. There are no wrong answers. There are experiences which we are all coming together to share so we can all help one another because it truly does take a village to raise good people, right? Okay, so we'll see you next time right here on Moms and Now a Dad. Explain it all. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.